Tall.
Mira, antsy.
Giants hurling dudes.
Public urinator, dead.
Jon, alive!
It's season 6, episode 2 of Fan vs. Fan, Game of Thrones.
Get out of my way.
King's orders, Your Grace.
You don't know which way she went. I spent 3 days looking for her. She disappeared.
We know where she's going. Castle Black isn't defended on the southern side. We could storm the castle.
You would spill blood in this holy place.
Well, the gods spill more blood than the rest of us combined.
Hey, welcome to Fan vs. Fan. I'm Joel Minty. He's
Brian Crosby.
Interrupting Brian Crosby. We got a lot to talk about. That was a very great episode that we just watched. Didn't you think so?
I enjoyed it greatly.
Greatly. Incredibly greatly. What did you like the most about it, Brian?
Oh my god, the mountain is out and about. He's off his leash. He crushed a dude. That's all I've been waiting for like ever since the end of last season. It's all I wanted. And you only crushed one dude, but I feel like there's going to be a lot of dudes crushed in the future. So I got a little hint of crushing dudes to come.
There's kind of I imagine that going forward, there's just going to be like one dude per episode. But then as time goes on, it starts getting exponentially higher with the amount of people whose faces he smashes off walls.
Yeah, I think so. You know what I really loved about that scene was how completely unnecessary it was. Like, it's exactly what I wanted it to be. Like, this guy doesn't deserve anything. He doesn't, like, he told a raunchy story. That's fine. But remember when the mountain was, like, introduced as Zombie Mountain?
Yeah.
Is it Pycelle? Is that
Pycelle.
Right, Pycelle comes down.
No, it's not Pycelle.
What is the guy's...
It's Qyburn.
Yeah, thanks. He comes down and says, all right, Zombie Mountain is here.
Yeah.
He's here. He says something like, he will not stop until he has killed all of your enemies.
And this guy's an enemy now.
This is how low the bar is
Exactly.
on who meets enemy
Exactly.
definition. He said something off-putting about Cersei. She wasn't even in the room. Skull crushed.
Skull crushed.
Can you imagine how many skulls are going to get crushed by that standard?
Well, and thus the exponential total by the end of this season, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I imagine what I like too is the idea that like throughout this last episode and this one, we've seen a lot of people get like up close knifed.
Yeah.
And it's also like, he doesn't have time for that. You have to draw a weapon to do that. There's
great.
a perfectly good wall there to smash somebody's face off.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
Yeah, he's efficient. He's got a lot of skulls to crush.
Yeah.
He doesn't have time to dance around and stab you with his sword. He's just going to or wall it or...
Somebody across town has been telling other Cersei jokes. He's got to go. Like he's
when he turned around and walked down the hallway in my mind, I was like, down the road keeps on calling me. So that was my big moment. Joel, what did you like about this episode?
Well, the second most important thing that happened was, of course, Jon Snow was resurrected.
That's true.
That's also pretty important compared to the mountain smashing faces.
Yeah, I mean, I'll probably remember it next week, but...
I thought the scene was really awesome. My favorite thing about it was I actually didn't know whether... It was kind of like a metagame. I was like, is the show just going to screw with people that much more? Or a lot of the theories were that this would happen in episode 1.
Yeah.
And then it didn't. And people were kind of like, right? And that's kind of good, right?
Yeah, that's how
they're
I felt.
kind of reeling you in. And then the second one, it's like, okay, here we go. But we've seen Melisandre. She's like lost her faith. She's a crone. She doesn't have her necklace powers anymore. Things have changed with her. And
she's depressed.
She goes to do... Yeah, she's like, she's clothed. It's really weird. So what happens, right, is that they go and they do the scene and they really prolong it and they have everyone leave. And, I mean, once they stick around in the room, then it's kind of like they got to have something. They can't just end on... And that was it, right?
Right.
But at the same time, up until that moment, I thought maybe they'll just screw with everyone by having it not work. And yet another episode goes by, which would be really cool.
Yeah.
Although they can still do something great in the next episode by having Jon like wake up and be like, "Ha, I'm back!" And then Ollie just comes up and goes, "Ah, motherfucker!"
Oh no!
Stabs him with a knife, and then he's like, "Oh, I'm dead!" And Melisandre just like throws her notes in the air and says, "I'm out. I just can't keep doing this. It's tiring."
It's Jon Snow Groundhog Day. He just dies at the end of every day.
And he just
comes back to life.
He has to learn how to
It's like,
treat
I
all
gotta
the
save the wildling. And then he wakes up.
Yeah, Chris Elliott is filming him. And,
the radio turns on. It's the same song. The Winds of Estermere. What is that song?
The Rains of Castamere.
Rains of
Every
Castamere.
single morning it comes on.
Morning.
Yeah.
Did you like the suspense of it? Did you feel like that was an appropriate length?
Of what?
Waiting for Jon to open his eyes?
Yeah, absolutely. I thought they did it really well. I thought Kit Harington did a great job with his gasping. because I think the people in the room kind of just went, oh, like we all kind of jumped with it, and then people were just like fist pumping, really excited.
He got probably paid like $100,000 over both of those episodes, and all he had to do was lie on the table and go.
I remember somebody asked Jack Gleason, the actor who plays Joffrey, once, what was your favorite day of filming? And he was like, the day when I was lying dead in my tomb. I just got to lie there with my eyes shut, and everyone else had to act around
to
me.
do things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was cool. I thought it was like maybe they had shot this scene and then put all the editors in a room and had them say, like, when do you, like, point when you think he's going to come back to life. And at all those points, they would just move it another second forward.
Right.
You know, and it's like, nah. I guess he's not going to. Oh, we did it! You know, he'd be like that.
So, Brian, it was a pretty good episode, but what didn't you like?
Joel, I think you're probably going to be able to help me out here as the resident fantasy book expert and Game of Thrones expert, but the part that I did not like was the Balon versus who is he on the bridge? Who's the guy on the bridge? Like, I get, he's like, I'm your brother. They sort of explain it. They're trying to shove some exposition into the dialogue, but I'm pretty sure I haven't seen this guy before. And even if he did appear on the show somewhere several seasons ago, this is too much. It's too fast.
Like wet, cowled, bearded. It's like that could be literally like 60% of the people on the show have beards and are cowled and are wet.
You know what I thought what was happening? It's like clearly he was going to kill Balon, right?
Yeah.
I thought, what happened to the Game of Thrones? Like, this guy showed up 8 seconds ago. He threw him off a bridge. That turn of that Game of Thrones was introduced, played out, and ended in a minute and a half.
It kind of undercuts. I kind of agree. It undercuts stuff that happens in season 1, which is so political and clever.
Yes.
And all these things like Littlefinger has like paid off the town guard.
I think that's what
and
we like.
Ned, you're far too trusting, right? And it's like they don't all kill each other necessarily. They're going in jail a lot. You know, people are being arrested. People are being blackmailed. People are being held ransom and taken to the Eyrie,
right?
Where there's a crazy woman.
It's the plays and the manipulation.
But like now, it seems like every time anything happens, it's just like, oh yeah, you thought you were still alive? You're dead. Oh yeah, I thought I was alive. Oh, I'm dead too. Right? And it's just
we'll kill each other.
There's a lot of just kind of quick knife.
Easy outs to problems.
Yeah. And a lot of times too is I'm not saying it's like seeing it coming, but that was something that we talked about where. It's like there's like 3 or 4 knifings in the last couple episodes where everyone just stands there and is like, oh shit, that guy was our Legion Lord.
Look, there's another Legion Lord.
He's the Legion Lord now.
Let's do that one.
He's the Legion Lord. I'm a pretty cool dude. Look at my sword. I'm just going to stand here.
You're right. Like, it's become so common for the common people. They're like, oh, that guy's dead? Who wants me to... Oh, you want me to be...
Okay.
Yep.
Well, the problem is that the answer is always stab him in front of anybody. Right?
Yes.
There's no. I mean, the only difference, I suppose, is my con from the episode, which is when he... The Bastard of Bolton takes Ramsay. Sorry.
Yes.
When he takes Walda and the new baby into the dog kennel. I mean, he just killed his liege lord, but like, you know, we got to be real sneaky with his wife, who nobody really knows anything about. Like, you would think that he would be in way more trouble in some capacity.
Yeah, there'd be some guard, some family member who would
like,
still be mad.
I liked Roose Bolton.
Yeah.
You know what? He flayed many a man for me. We ate well. Yeah. And then they're just like, you know what? We don't like you, guy who murders everyone and is clearly insane and
weird eyeballs,
each other, eats sausages.
Yeah.
We don't like you. Let's go kill him.
Yeah,
right? Exactly. So
I agree.
I didn't like the scene with Walda too. It just drove me nuts. It's just like, okay, so you're afraid that this guy who has, you know, nothing but murder on his repertoire.
We know.
You think something might be going down
Yeah.
with you in this kennel of open dogs and this guy with his like insane eyes staring at you, and you're holding this boy, and you haven't quite put together his, you know, jealousy of a true-born heir versus him being a bastard. And then like she doesn't even try to run. She's just like, don't stop, don't. It's like, you know, like he walked to the end of the kennel opening the gates. When you're in the third one, I'm out of there. I'm just like, off I go. You'll shut the door, lock it. See you later. I'll let you out.
Run, Walda.
I'll let you out, maybe, if you promise not to.
He didn't really lock it, right? He just closed the gate,
didn't he? Shuts it behind her. Like, there's no scene of him turning the key or anything like that. At least, like, try to toss the baby through the grills so that the baby might live on the other side of the grills, right?
All that being said, as a viewer, I love the idea of Ramsay being in control of large swath of this country. It's just the worst thing to happen politically.
And I was reading online, some people were talking about how Ramsay has to die because he's so off the thing. Kind of the same logic behind Joffrey. That's just like he's too dark, he's too awful. He can't just keep living. Eventually, when you live by the sword, you die by the sword.
Yeah.
And so I kind of liked it where you didn't even necessarily know in the stabbing who stabbed who. I thought Roose
stabbed
him.
Ramsay. Yeah. And
then,
I thought, like I just said, like,
going,
you had to take this guy out because he's too much of a loose cannon.
Yeah. But then it goes the other way, and it makes sense as well to a certain degree. So that scene was well done.
That was cool.
I was sad to see Roose go. He was so boring looking.
He's boring looking.
He was really boring looking. He just fit in a crowd. It was amazing.
Yeah. Good episode. A lot happened.
Absolutely.
Where do you think it's going?
Well, a whole bunch of stuff is going down in this one, and I thought one of the things that happens, you have Tyrion, the Dragon Whisperer. He's
the Prince
in there.
of Dragons.
He's soothing, and they like him because
he doesn't pose a threat to them.
Yeah, I don't know, because he talks, he tells stories.
Yeah. They understand every word he's saying.
So I thought it was cool that he unchained them. I was actually expecting them to run out the door, even though they're much bigger than the door.
I thought he was going to lead them out the door.
Yeah, or maybe it's like he starts riding one, and then Varys starts riding one, and you're like, it's like dwarf and eunuch, dragon riders, and they're like off chasing Drogon. That would have been cool. It's not
that would have been great. I would also watch that show.
I can dream. Yeah,
dwarf and eunuch, dragon riders.
It's a spin-off that happens when Game of Thrones inevitably ends.
Yeah.
But there's all sorts of stuff going on. In King's Landing, there's a whole bunch of different scenes that I really liked. Slower, dialogue-driven scenes. We had a lot of those in the early seasons because it was more kind of political than action-packed all the time, I found. And I really like some of them. When they're done well, they up the acting quotient because it's much more kind of close-ups and emotion and facial features, and they also often make kind of tiny shifts, and I think we saw that with Tommen.
Yes, that could go anywhere. I mean, it could be Tommen finally becoming a responsible king, or it could be Tommen becoming the nice Joffrey. He basically walked into his mother's room and said, "Mom, I want to kill people." Yeah. And Cersei was like, "Those are the words a mother wants to hear."
Yeah. All this time, it was worth walking all the way through the streets. So that should be good. Obviously, with Jon at the wall, we're going to have to see where that happens. He's going to get up. He's going to walk around. He might be like the Mountain. He might not.
Maybe like Hodor. We'll say his name all the time.
I don't know.
He's going to have brain damage?
No, they won't have that. It'd be ridiculous.
No.
It'd be like having another The Mountain, only he's feeble and pale, and he doesn't have good hair anymore.
Can't have enough mountains. This show could be all mountains, various mountains, like Joe Mountain, Bill Mountain, Sally Mountain. They're all mountain family. So they just walk around and zombies crushing skulls. I would watch it.
We basically agree that the first thing Jon Snow should do is grab Ollie's face and go bam off the wall.
Yeah.
Just smash it up.
We haven't talked a lot about Bran and Arya. Nothing particularly wrong with those stories. I think they just haven't been notable pros or notable cons for us.
We're waiting on those.
I feel like we're waiting. I think there's cool stuff coming. Yeah. Bran is tall.
He's much taller than he was before. Yeah. That's the most important thing that's happened to him.
Yeah. Arya, blind. Yeah. I think that's still all we have to say about those stories.
Yeah, pretty much. Bran tall, Arya blind. We'll see episode 5.
Yeah, I think the next few episodes will be a lot more to say about those guys.
So that's all we had to say about season 6, episode 2 of Game of Thrones this week. Fan versus fan. If you like what you're hearing, if you have a question, if you got anything you got to say, you're welcome to drop us a line, subscribe to the YouTube channel right here.
Or follow us on Twitter. You can do so in this general area. And we'll see you next week.
Kicked him out!